Hello and welcome to this edition of Minstrels on the Block, where we bring you the finest singer-songwriters in the Valley area. Today's special guest is Mr. Sam Benton. Sam, appreciate you being on the show, man. How you doing?
Thank you, Brian. It's good to be here.
So tell me about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Savannah, Georgia.
Cool.
1965. It's a mighty fine year.
Chevy trucks had a great truck that year.
Yeah. Chevy had a lot of good things back then.
Yes, they did.
Just kind of born out in the country, and raised around country music. Didn't have a hard life, but you know, everybody has a little bit of hard life. But I guess that's what sets me on the country scene. You know, the hard times. But there's a lot of good people involved in it.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your parents. What do they do?
Well, my mother has passed away about 5 years ago. My father, he's a farmer. He lives in Waycross, Georgia. Almost 80 years old.
Wow.
And he still works like a dog.
Country life, longevity, and hard work.
Yep. My family's kind of scattered all around, so from Washington State to Nebraska.
You guys are all over the place.
Yes, sir.
Now, were your parents musical at all?
Oh yeah, very musical, very musical. My father played guitar probably all his life. You know, I guess growing up during the Depression times, you know, that's all they had to do besides farming. So
yeah,
it was.
And that, my friends, is where true country music came from. Front porch picking.
Front porch picking, that's right. I've had all my family's really musically inclined. Had some have bands, which have now been dissipated, but you know, they played from gospel music to rock and roll, and then got back into country, so.
Very cool. Now, tell me a little bit about some of your early influences. What did you grow up listening to?
Hank Williams, Elvis, Charlie Pride. Oh man, the list is long. Porter Wagner, Dolly Parton.
Please tell me there's some Marty Robbins in there.
There's Marty Robbins, yes sir. There's a whole lot of people out there that just inspired me. Mainly Elvis, you know, kind of. But he's more the rock and roll side, but he is very impressive. Johnny Cash, of course. Who else am I leaving out? There's a whole bunch of them that just inspired me. But
now going back a little bit, how long were you in Savannah?
Born and raised there till I was 10. Then we moved to Washington State. I lived up there for 11 and a half years. And in 1985, I moved back to Charleston, South Carolina, and then back to Savannah.
Now, I've never been to Savannah, and I've never been to Washington State. So give me a little bit about the difference between the two.
Oh, there's a big difference, a very big difference. I lived in the eastern part of the state, which is out by Spokane. It's more desert, mountains, kind of lived in a valley. And of course, it's where the largest dam in the world is, the Grand Coulee Dam.
Oh.
Pretty magnificent. But the climate's totally different. It's really dry up there. I've been in snowstorms at 30 degrees, you know, and it's playing out there in your bare feet.
Wow, that's amazing.
You get that kind of temperature down here, and you get chilled to the bone.
Yeah.
The summer's got the humidity here. Summers up there are real dry. It gets hot, but it's dry.
Now, going back to your course in life, what was it? Your parents, the musical nature of your family. What got you interested in working with music?
Well, recently, just I've always wanted to do it. Just didn't know. I've always wanted to play and sing, but over the years, I kind of felt like, well, this ain't really my forte, what I want to do, as far as singing wise. I wanted to do it, but I knew it wasn't my forte.
Yeah.
So I started going to going to concerts and stuff like that, and getting close to band members and getting friendships with them, and then ended up actually started supporting and helping them out, you know. Then I just decided to really put New Country Entertainment Group together. Here, it's been in my mind for a long time. I just really put it together in April.
Right.
And started advertising it. And it's a slow process, and it's really, really, really hard because there's so much to do. I mean, you've got to talk to venues, you've got to talk to people, you've got to try to get sponsorships, and it's really, really difficult. I'm not going to say I'm going to be the big promoter of Columbus yet, but that is my ambition.
Right.
I want to be the promoter for the Columbus area, but I also kind of want to go nationwide with it. I'm going to be a 2013 Georgia Country Awards sponsor for the award show this year, so it's pretty cool.
Now, going back some more, you started out wanting to play and sing, and eventually you figured out that it wasn't your forte, maybe it wasn't the direction that you needed to take. So what made you consider becoming a promoter rather than just, say, getting out of it altogether and going to, I don't know, build barbecue grills at Char Grill or something like that?
Well, I just kind of had the knack for talking to people, and say, like, if there was a band playing somewhere, I'd go out and tell people about it, and you know, just be able to talk about it and they'd show up. And seeing the people show up and have a good time, that gave me more inspiration to do this.
Right.
Because it's all about fun and having a good time and meeting people and knowing their stories, because there's songs to be written in those people's stories.
Right,
you know? That's where all this stuff comes from. It's just stories of people's hard lives coming up, and maybe not all hard, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Now, you know, there's a lot of people out there who get into music and they play and they sing, and for some of them, you know, if it doesn't pan out, it's a horrible disappointment. And how is it when you get to the point when, because, you know, every musician, everybody who sings, you know, always fears that it's not going to pan out, they're going to be flipping burgers or whatever.
Right.
For you, how was it for you to decide to make that choice that music was not your forte as far as playing it and going into the more behind the scenes side, the advertising side?
It was kind of, I don't know, it's really my fault for not following, you know, my singing. It's difficult kind of to explain. One day you can sound good, the next day, you know, you lose it. And you know, I got a good ear to hear musicians sing, and I know when I hear myself, it's not any good anymore. And that's part of smoking and drinking and carrying the bar life.
Yeah, the party life.
Some people it affects differently. It affected me where I can't sing, so.
Well, one question before we go to break. The ultimate question of the country universe. Hank Williams or Johnny Cash?
I'm going to say Johnny Cash.
And why specifically Johnny Cash?
Johnny's just got a different personality altogether. I mean, he's living the wild side and putting the country out there as well.
That he is. Tell you what, let's check this out. We'll be right back after this. Hello and welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block. Special guest Sam Benton. So Sam, tell me a little bit about putting together this thing. Now you talked about it a little bit, but what goes into putting together an entertainment group like this? Like, let's just say I'm going to start this tomorrow. What do you have to do?
Start talking to people. No, you got to really start talking to the artists firsthand to see if they want to do anything with you. You know, get your marketability up, and then talking to venues.
Yeah.
You know, say if I wanted to put on a concert tomorrow,
Yeah.
I'd have to go out and get sponsors. You know, I'd have to sell tickets. There's a whole lot of stuff you got to do. You know, you gotta get your cost factors in there. What it's going to cost for the bands, what it's going to cost for the amphitheater or civic center or wherever it may be. There's a lot of work involved in it. Really, mostly for me, it's been the advertising of it. Because the more you get it out there, the more people are going to get involved in it and help you out. So, I mean, just like, I think it was Monday, I had 520 likes on my page. A friend of mine, Mark Kinney, invited all his friends to it, and all of a sudden it boosted up over 150 likes in like 4 hours.
Nice. Thanks, Mark.
But it takes stuff like that to get it going.
A lot of networking.
A lot of networking.
Now, tell me a little bit about, because there might be some people out there that are interested in doing, some things like this, and I myself have some interest in some things that are not exactly what you do, but similar natures. Like, tell me, let's go in a little bit about like getting sponsors. How do you go about doing that?
Well, you just got to go and talk to a proprietor, a store owner, or say Sports and Imports.
Right.
And you go in and tell them what you're doing, and ask them if they'd want to be a sponsor for what you're doing. And they'll either say yes or no.
Yeah. Simple question, simple answers.
I mean, that's as simple as it gets. I mean, you just got to go out and pound the ground and ask people to sponsor you.
And as far as like advertising, what are the challenges involved with advertising?
Really, if you're going to do it on Facebook, there's no challenge to it.
Well, that's true. Type it in there.
unless somebody from Facebook takes your stuff down. If there's comments made or whatever. I mean, that's something that happens all the time. As far as other advertising, it's pretty difficult to get in there with radio stations. Stuff like that. It's real difficult.
And like, as far as, now you've seen local commercials. You've seen some local commercials. I've seen some clever local commercials. And I've seen some local commercials that were better off never having left the boardroom. And there's a lot of those. Local business owners, get creative, please. And then you see really cool stuff like, let's just say, for instance, the most interesting man in the world.
Oh, I love
that guy.
That's clever.
It's like, so as far as your marketing and that sort of thing, how do you go about coming up with ideas for marketing?
Read things and get examples from other people. Could be a newspaper article. It could be a magazine. Like you said, the most interesting man in the world. I mean, that's probably, I get some of my inspiration from that.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to do some advertising. Just stuff that comes to your head naturally sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes you get the local commercial.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, a little bit about the relationships with bands. Tell me about some of the challenges of getting with bands and getting on, working terms with them and how that works and pans out or doesn't.
Well, it's weird because sometimes this stuff happens so fast that you don't even know how it even falls into place. You just basically, really, I mean, I'm a a loving person, always have been. Got a soft heart. I don't want everybody to know that I got a soft heart, but
but he also understands business.
I'm tough too, guys. So just more or less, you fall in love with a person, you know, and it kind of grows from there. And that's just about how every relationship with every band that I've gotten in contact with has happened. It's just, bam, you click, and it's a done deal. Now there are some bands out there that think they get the big head, and then, you know, they're God's gift. And
Right.
you know, I try to stay away from stuff like that. You know, you got to be humble. You got to know where you came from. You know.
I always ask for advice for aspiring artists, and this is some good advice early in the show. But don't get the big head. If you're an aspiring artist, you know, work hard at it. But like he said, you've got to be humble. You can't walk around like, because there's 1,000 others out there that.
Yeah, there's a million artists in Nashville that are flipping burgers and handing out donuts and singing on the street. So you know, and they're good artists.
Yeah.
They just haven't been discovered yet.
Right. Now, we've gone into the beginnings and the putting together of it. Now, once you get on the plane to where this is a regular business and to where this is what you do, tell me about some of the challenges and rewards of once you get steady with it and day-to-day life.
Well, the challenges is the other promoters. That's your biggest challenge out there, because there's a bunch of promoters out there that are trying to do the same thing you're doing.
Right.
You might call a venue up and say, hey, I want to book the Chrissy Andrews band. And, well, I'm sorry, another promoter's got us booked for the year. You know, that's the kind of things you look at. But you just got to get out there and plug until you finally get something. That's the challenge. The reward is getting those bands booked and having a good outcome with it. You know, you have large crowds every night.
Yeah.
You know, that's the main thing, and letting the people enjoy the music and letting the bands have fun while they're doing it. You know.
Now, one mystery that seems to exist and you might be able to help with this because you're well in the business. Now, I've heard people talking about wanting musician friends to come to their shows and things like that, and I've always said, you don't want your musician friends to come to your shows because ideally they should all have shows of their own. So how big of a challenge is it to get the word out to the listeners, to the laymen, to the musical civilians out there, to fill up a club with people who don't play instruments themselves?
It's hard because, as you know, this day and time everybody's busy. You know, and I'm guilty of it too. Facebook is a big time taker.
Yeah.
You know, it's really difficult to get people to get out to see a venue, especially in these times when, you know, money isn't as abundant as it used to be. The economy's real rough right now, so and sketchy. But you just got to get out there and do your best to try to get them out there.
Now, going forward a little bit, you know, you always have a teacher who says, where are you going to be in 20 years? Well, where would you like to see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? Where would you like to take the business?
Oh, man. I want to be on top of the world, you know what I mean? Really.
Dream big.
I'd like to be Nashville bound, you know, or have a nice, decent office building. Yeah. And just help people out. That's all I want to do.
Do you have a dream of a specific band or a specific group of bands that you would really like to work with one day?
Yeah, I'd like to see Mr. Mark Kenny rise to the top and work with him.
Well, from what I've seen, it looks like he's on his way.
Yeah, he is. I mean, there's a list of bands out there. Bad Horse, it's probably another one of my favorite bands. They're fixing to go national.
Very cool.
And Adam Grant, the lead singer, is a very good friend of mine. Actually, Adam has helped me get New Country Entertainment Group started.
Very cool.
I do have some help, but like I said, all the local bands that I really that are really starting off from the ground up, like Brandon Holden, the Mulberry Grove Band, and Chrissy Andrews Band. I know I'm leaving some out, but you know, there's a lot of them that I want to work with in the future, you know, as well as now, you know, when they get to be big stars. I want to still continue to work with them.
Yeah, and there's some really good musicians you just named off.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
awesome.
We talked about your early influences as far as listening to music and stuff. I usually give the list, but what are you most likely to be listening to today if you're walking around the house? How have your musical influences changed? And which also goes into perhaps how might influence the way your business is run.
Well, I listen to all genres of music, whether it be gospel. I am mostly country. That's what I pretty much listen to day to day. They say the new country is the new pop, but you know, it's still, there's a lot of country in it. Yeah. But I listen to a little head-banging music every once in a while. It just depends on what mood I'm in.
Rock and roll, baby.
So, but mostly, yeah, I'll listen to Alan Jackson or Tim McGraw, Toby Keith, who I really, really like. You know, I love George Jones. You know, he passed, but you know, that's the kind of music I like to listen to.
Very cool.
On a day-to-day basis.
Cannot go wrong. I tell you what, check this out. We'll be right back after this. Hello and welcome back to this edition of Minstrels on the Block. Special guest Sam Benton. And this is what we like to call the pimping section. Here is where we like to shamelessly self-promote. Shameless self-promotion is an accurate term. I prefer pimping. So what do you have that you want everybody sitting out there to know about? And I see you got a piece of paper there with a lot of information on it. So this should be a good pimping session.
Yeah, it's got a few things on there. Just, you know, basically want to tell y'all that New Country Entertainment Group is here to support all you country musicians that are out there, and we will get into a few different genres of music as well, if you want to follow us. I do have a website, www.newcountryentertainmentgroup.com, and I want to give props to Miss Kimberly Wilson for helping me design the website. It's not completely finished yet, but it's a work in progress. I also want to give some props to a lot of the bands out there that are I'm helping and they're helping me. We're all working together in it. From Mark Kinney to Scotty McRae, Brandon Holden, Adam Grant with Bad Horse, of course, Zach Marks, Ben Braswell, Mulberry Grove, Tommy and Chrissy Andrews, Caleb King, Brittany Avery, and Brittany Allen. There's some very good talent, and they're up and coming, so y'all get ready for these bands. They're coming at you hard and fast. Would like to also put out there that New Country Entertainment Group is the 2013 Georgia Country Awards. So nice. We will be up there in November when Brandon Holden wins the Male Artist of the Year.
Nice.
Mulberry Grove is up for Country Band of the Year.
Wow.
So
right here.
And there's a lot happening. So y'all get on board. We're gonna get y'all out there to some venues. We're gonna try to broaden our horizons. I'm also working with Petra Fresca. She owns a site called Focus on Clarksville and Focus on Nashville. So that's something here in the future that we're going to be working on.
And where is she located?
Clarksville, Tennessee.
Clarksville, Tennessee. Very cool.
And anybody that wants to find out what we're doing, just go to my link and any information, just ask any questions you want to ask, and I'll answer them the best I can.
Give your Facebook.
Facebook is a New Country Entertainment Group. That's it.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about your Facebook personally.
Oh, just Sam Benton.
Sam Benton on Facebook. Because however they can get to you, if they happen to stumble across one before the other.
Yeah. It'll either be on Sam Benton on Facebook or New Country Entertainment Group.
Very, very cool. And looks like you've got a lot going on. A lot of the names you've mentioned have been guests on this show and are friends of mine. Brittany Avery, Brendan Holden, congratulations, man. You've always did rock. And congratulations to you for this. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've been saying forever, Columbus was a hotbed, and the Valley was a hotbed of talent. And here's proof.
Yep. Yes, yes, yes.
So a couple of questions I like to ask my guests on the show. Oops. Malfunction. A couple of questions I like to ask my guests on the show. One is, what is your take? What do you think of the local music scene in the Valley area?
I think it's awesome. It's kind of hard to say when I think about it. It's just an awesome place for musically talented people to come to. Columbus offers, or the Chattahoochee Valley offers, a lot of stuff for musicians.
Question number 2, how do you think it could be improved? There's always room for improvement.
Well, I think that the pay scales could improve a lot for this area.
Yeah.
You got some excellent musicians out there, and you've got some mediocre musicians out there, and they pretty much just pay the same thing. You got to look out for your artists.
Yeah.
In
the business world, you have people that are very professional. You have people that are not so professional, and there are wage gaps. And it should be this. If you're a really, really, really good musician, you should get.
You deserve better pay. That's what I say.
Now that feeds into, I guess, the last question of the show, which is, what advice would you give to an aspiring singer-songwriter, artist of any kind, watching the show? Who's maybe not even got out and played yet, maybe he's in the beginning ranks. What advice would you give?
Just go with your heart feelings, but get out there and perform. Don't be scared. Show everybody what you got, and let it come from the heart. Very, very cool.
Well, Sam, I appreciate you being on the show, man.
Thank you, Brian.
Great interview. Hope you've enjoyed this edition of Minstrels on the Block. I'm your host, Brian Mallard. We do this every week on CTV EA. See you next time.